hello. Today we will be doing a Photoshop demo on curves, levels, and masking. I think this is going to be my last demo for the semester. So buckle up, grab your coffee, and take some notes on this demo. So what we have going on here right now, I picked an image. This is an image of my friend Sabrina. This is from last spring semester. I was working on a project about my time in Catholic school. I went to Catholic school for 12 years of my life, kindergarten through high school. Do with that information what you will. And I was making a project about other people who have, been to Catholic school and their experiences, and I was interviewing them, blah, blah, blah. So this is a portrait that I made of her on our old elementary school grounds. I've since stopped that project because COVID happened and I couldn't, meet with people to interview them, and it's probably for the best because I wasn't having a good time making this project. So anyway, I'm going to use this portrait of my friend Sabrina to show you all how to do curves, levels, and masking. So after you have made all your edits in Camera Raw and you click Open Image on the bottom right corner, this should be what you're seeing in Photoshop. Again, I apologize, I'm using Photoshop 2015 because my computer is a dinosaur and can't upgrade past that. So things might look a teensy bit different if you're using Photoshop 2020, but all the tools should be the same. So, first, if you go over to the right over here, you'll have your background layer, and there's a little eyeball here where you can toggle. If you click it, no, you can't click it because it's locked. Never mind. We'll get to that. But this is your background layer, and this is what we're going to be working on. So from here, we're going to make our adjustments in Photoshop. So these are things that, little extra things that you will add after you are in Camera Raw. Camera Raw is where you're going to make the majority of your adjustments. Photoshop is just where you're going to make some minor little things. So if you go down here and you hover over this half circle icon, it'll say create new fill or adjustment layer, and it has a little down arrow. If you click on it, you get all these fun things that you can use. But we are going to be focusing on curves and levels. So what I like to do first when I'm editing is I'll do a curves layer. So I'll click on that and it makes a new layer, and this little window should pop up. So this is your curves histogram layer. So you can go into different, right here where it says RGB, these are different channels. So you can go into each individual RGB channel. So red, green, blue channel, whatever. I like to make my adjustments overall. So I'm going to stick with the RGB. And what I do for curves, I like to do a very subtle S curve. So I will show you what that means. I don't go crazy with my curves layers. So just an example to show you so you can physically see what's happening when you're messing with curve layers. I'm just going to click on the line here and drag it up. So you can see the whole image is getting brighter. So if you drag it down, whole image is getting darker. So if you don't want that, you say ew, that's gross looking, because it is. You can just hit your delete button and that point will go away. Or if you make a point, you can simply click it and then drag it off and it'll go away. I just like to hit delete because it's easier. So what I mean by a subtle S-curve layer is I like to pick a point at the top here, near the top, and brighten it just a tad, just a little bit, just as much as I think it needs. And then I'll pick a point down here and I'll lower it. And you see how it's kind of forming an S. It's not like an actual S because it'll be crazy, but it's just very, very subtle. And if I go over here to my eye and you toggle it on and off, just click on and off, you can see the adjustments that are being made. And sometimes I like to zoom in a little bit to see, so I can see better. And you can see, it's just giving it a little pop of contrast and like just brightening up the image just a little bit. And it makes it pop better, you know, if it, ugh, sorry, I can't talk today. I need a sip of coffee, hold on. Just 1 second. Okay, that's better. You can see how dull the original image is when I toggle the curves layer off, and when I put it back on, it's just that like little oomph of what you need in your image. This is like all that I do for curves. I don't go too crazy unless I need to adjust like the specific like red channel or green channel or blue channel. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First, I'm going to put my blinds down because it's like really sunny and I can't really see my computer screen very well. Okay, that's much better. Now I can see. So if I go into a specific channel, say I'm thinking this image is too blue, I'm gonna go into the blue channel. Excuse me, oh my gosh, just like swallowed weird. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the blue channel and I want to add more yellow. So a cool thing about the curves layer is if you want to add more yellow and you're thinking a specific area is a little bit too blue and you want to focus in on that area, this little hand right here, if you click on that and say like Jesus here is looking a little blue, if you hover over certain spots, you can see, watch the line here. When I'm hovering over certain spots, it's picking out on the curve or the layer, it's picking out where that blue is. So if I'm saying it's looking a little blue in here, if I click on that, it'll make a point exactly where I put it. So if you click on that point and drag down, it's going to add more yellow. If you click on it and bring it up, it's going to add more blue. So what's really nice about this is you can go very, very slowly and subtly to add more colors. So for this type of thing, where I'm adding more color or taking away color or whatever, I like to use my arrow keys on my keyboard so I can do it very, very slowly, because sometimes if you're dragging it like with your mouse, you can kind of go a little crazy. So I am just going to use my arrow keys, and we're gonna go down because we're adding more yellow. Sometimes I forget if it's up or down, so I just like will drag it to see like which color, what, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna use my down key and just add just a little bit. And then I like to toggle on and off. And this is showing me overall what I've done. I actually prefer it this other way that I'm about to show you. So I'm gonna delete that. And I'm going to close out of this and I'm gonna make another curve layer. And I'm gonna go back to the blue channel and then add my yellow. So I'm gonna go back to where I thought it was a little too blue, and I'm just gonna use my down arrow. This way, I like to separate the layers for one reason, and that's because when I toggle on and off this one, it's not also toggling the main curve layer that I did the first time. And it's less distracting, like so if it's toggling off the first layer that I did and the second one where I'm adding more yellow, it's kind of hard to see the difference of the colors. So I like to do another curves layer so I'm just focusing on that yellow that I added. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So yeah, so I can just see like what I've done, and it's very subtle. Like you can see like back in here that it's like yellow. You can see Jesus is getting a little more yellow. You see? And like this was in February, so this is a very like cool toned day. We shot this at noon, which is an awful mistake. If you're gonna shoot portraits, try not to do it at noon. Noon is like the worst time to make portraits because the sun is so harsh and direct, unless you're doing something with creative light. But if you're doing something like engagement photos or something, try to avoid doing that at like noon. It's like really harsh light and it's really hard to like edit. Anyway, so yeah, you can see it's very, very subtle. So after I feel like, all right, I'm done with my curves layer, I'm gonna go do my levels. So you go back to this half circle down here and click it, and then you'll click the levels button, and then something like this will pop up. Now, I apologize if you're using a PC. I'm using a Mac. I don't know what the equivalent of like the buttons on the Mac is to a PC. But on a Mac, you're gonna wanna press Alt Option. Hold on, I have hair on my keyboard. You're gonna wanna press Alt Option and then click this left arrow over here. And you see how your image disappears and there's just like some colors happening. So what your goal for this is to have very subtle colors appear. So if I drag it all the way to the left, I already have something showing up. Sometimes you don't have anything showing up at all. So if you had, say that wasn't there, if I had nothing showing up at all, I would want to drag it until I got something. Till just a little bit. You don't want to go, whoa, too crazy. Just a little bit. And that, okay, so then I'll explain what that is after we do the second one. The second one, you're going to go all the way to the right. Click the same button, Alt Option, and you just want, sometimes it'll show up like, oh, there's a lot. You just want to bring it back a little bit. You want something very, very subtly to be showing up. So this, oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just having a day, apparently. Okay, levels is making sure you have a pure white and a pure black in your image. And that helps for printing, even though you're not printing, but it's also helpful to do for your digital images too. You know, I do this on every single image, and you should start getting into the habit of doing a curves and a levels on every single image that you edit. So if I go over to my levels and I toggle, this one's gonna be super subtle, super, super subtle. You probably won't even see the difference. Yeah, you can barely see it, but I know that I have a pure black and a pure white, so that's great. So do a curves and a levels for every single image that you edit. Every one. In my class, beyond my class, just do it. It'll help, trust me. So now that we have that done, you might want to do some masking for your image. This you do not have to do for every single image. I don't do this unless I feel like I really have to in an image. If I'm really struggling with like the colors, brightness, whatever, I will do this. So in order to do a mask, you first have to decide what you're going to be masking. Like why do you need to do a mask? So for me in this image, like I said, it was noon, the shadows are really harsh. I'm thinking that Jesus and Sabrina look a little dark in their faces. So I went to brighten that up, but I think everything else back here looks totally fine. I don't need to brighten up the whole image. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a new curves layer. Also, before we do that, if you want to label these, can you not label these? Wait, hold on. Do I just not see it? Okay. I was like, why can't you label these? I don't usually label mine, so that's why I couldn't figure it out at first. But if you want to label these and this makes it like easier for you to remember, like curves 2 was when we added more yellow. So you could just double click on that and put added yellow or something so you know what that is. This is helpful if you're getting into like a lot of layers. It's helpful to know like which one is which. So we want to do a mask. So I'm going to make a new curves layer, and I might rename this masking or something. So, oops, Sabrina and Jesus are looking a little dark. So I'm going to like come in here just see where I want to go up. Maybe click on right there. And I'm just gonna brighten the whole image. It's going to brighten the whole image at first. Don't fret. Okay, so we got Jesus and Sabrina looking a little brighter. Maybe Jesus is looking a little too bright. So a neat trick that you can do, that sometimes I do, is if you click on this and you go to opacity, you can change this to 50%, and then he's not as bright, or 75%, or, you know, whatever you want it to be, 60%. I'm gonna change it to 75%. And then he looks a little bit better. So I'm gonna click out of that. I'm gonna click back onto my masking layer. And then I'm gonna go down here, this little button where it's like a square with a circle inside. It says add vector mask. I'm gonna click on that. So now you have two of these little masks here. I am going to then, on my keyboard, hit Command I. Nope. Sorry. I'm then on my keyboard going to hit Command I. And then this one is going to turn black. That's what we want. You're then gonna go all the way to the left on the bottom here where it has the paint swatches, and you are going to make sure that they are white and black. You want to make sure that your white one is on top. You can switch it so the black one is on top, but for this, we want to make sure the white is on top. So, after you make sure that is on top, you're gonna go and find your paintbrush, which looks like a paintbrush. This is a good size for what I'm going to use, the paintbrush. You can see the circle here, but you can also go up to the left and play with the size. You want to have your hardness at 0%. You want to have your opacity up here at 100%. Your flow, I don't really mess with this too much, but I would suggest not having it at 0% or not having it at 100, so somewhere in between. 50 is probably good. And then I like to zoom in a little bit. You're just going to paint them. So you'll be able to see, whoa, they're turning brighter. So you want to very carefully, you don't have to be like precise, perfect on this, but you just want to carefully paint them in so they're brighter. And you can tell that it's working. Like, obviously you can see physically that it's working, but you could also see over here on your masking layer, the black box, you can see that there's going to be an outline of Jesus here. So you can see it's working. So I'm just going to paint him in, making him a little brighter. Again, you don't have to do this for every single image that you ever take, but if you think that it will help the image, do it. I used to, I'm gonna be honest with you, not really like masking. I thought it was confusing, and then once I got a hang of it, I was like, wow, this is actually a really helpful skill to know and to use, especially like if you just have that image that's like great and fantastic, but there's just something missing, like you're a little bit too dark or you're a little bit too bright. Masking is the perfect tool to know and to use. Perfect skill. So I'm just gonna paint Sabrina in a little bit. And you can see over here in my black box that there's a nice white outline of the both of them. So once I think I'm done, I like to go over to this masking layer and toggle it on and off. Whoa, isn't that crazy? You can see the difference, and they look so much better. They look so much brighter. They're easier to see. This is a good opportunity to see, like, is there any areas that I missed that I should go back in and paint? But yeah, they just look so much brighter. They pop out from the background. And you can like actually see Sabrina's face. Before it was so dark you could barely see her. So that's masking. It's pretty simple. Once you get the hang of it, it's so useful and so simple. You can also do this if you have a color cast on a certain part of the image. Like, say, I'll just do it. Okay, so I added yellow over here. but I want to keep Jesus blue. The background was a little blue, so I added more yellow, but I want to keep Jesus a little cool and a little blue. So I'm going to go to my added yellow layer, add a vector mask, Command I, Command I, why is it not working? Command I. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're clicked on these little boxes and not, I was just clicked on this and that's why it wasn't working. So make sure you're clicked on the boxes. So Command I, and then I can paint Jesus in. And you can tell that it's working because he's turning white over there. Okay, so I'm not gonna do the whole thing because you get the gist of it. Did you catch what I did wrong here? Jesus is turning yellow, not blue. So I'm going to delete my vector mask. Oops, I just deleted the whole thing. So if you want to delete just the layer mask and not the layer, right click, delete layer mask. So I'm going to start over. So I'm going to make a new layer mask, and instead of inverting the mask, so instead of hitting Command I, I'm going to go over here to where my paint swatches are, and the top is white and the background is black. I'm going to switch it. So I want the black on top and the white in the background. So now when we paint Jesus, he should be turning blue. Yay! So now you can see over here in your little box, you have a white background with a black outline of Jesus. So you can do that as like the opposite. Instead of painting in, like if you were to invert this and wanted to keep him blue, you would have to paint in the whole background, which is just absurd. Why would you do that? So instead of inverting the mask, you just keep it normal and then change your little paint swatch over here to black, and then you just paint him right in to be blue. Again, I'm not going to do the whole thing because you get the gist, but yeah, that is curves, levels, and masking. It's very simple, and it's very, very useful. So definitely have a curves and a levels layer for the images that you're turning in. From now on, I'm going to have you turn in DNGs and PSDs so I can see what kind of editing you're doing. I'll put that in the email too when I email you this video, because I did not mention that before. Yeah, masking, I encourage you to try it. Even if you're like, I don't have an image that really needs masking, just try it, even if you don't turn it into me. But yeah, try it. It's very fun. It's very useful. Once I got the hang of it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Why don't I use this all the time? Yeah, I think that's all I need to show you for this demo. Pretty simple, right? There's something else I wanted to tell you all. Oh, I emailed all the midterms. Oh, I already told you that. Decisive Moment. I emailed all the Decisive Moment projects to you. If you haven't gotten it to me yet, please do so. I updated all the grades on Blackboard. Let me know if there's something funky that, you know, you need to address or whatever. I'm gonna check. Let us check the syllabus one more time. Where are we? What's the date? Today is Wednesday. Today's the 21st. So Thursday, tomorrow, October 22nd, is a work day. So work on your portrait and paper lighting. If anyone has questions about that, please let me know. Work on your constructed for the camera, because the constructed for the camera is due in 2 weeks. Tuesday next week, October 27th, we are going to have another work day to work on portrait and paper and construct for the camera, and then I will introduce your final portfolio. I can't believe we're at this point already. You all will turn in a project proposal to me. I'll cover all this next week about what you want to do for your final project. And you'll email that all to me, and then I will just email you with feedback. Again, I don't know why I'm telling you this now, and I'm just going to tell you next week. Yeah. And if you want to do, I have individual meetings set on here. I didn't intend to like meet with you all individually, like over Zoom or whatever, but if you want to do that, that's totally cool. We can set something up. If not, you can just email me your proposal, and then I'll email you with feedback back to you. And then, yeah, and then the rest of the semester is pretty much work days. Yeah, I'll be catching up on, I haven't looked at the photographer's presentations yet. I want to say that I'll have it to you by the weekend. I know I said that in my email the other day, but I might get those to you next week just so I can kind of like, you know what I mean. It's that point in the semester. But I'll probably work on them on Friday. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I hope this demo was helpful. It was a very short one. Yeah, let me know if you have any other kind of questions, if you're having issues with Camera Raw, if you're having issues with your camera settings. Everyone seems to be doing pretty well. I'm very proud of you all for, you know, actually doing your work and learning in an online class, especially an online art class. I know it's really, really hard, but you guys are doing awesome. So yeah, just let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you all soon.